On September 11, 2001, I was the captain of Ladder Company 6 in the Chinatown section of Lower Manhattan. It was the change of tours, and all of a sudden we heard a loud jet trail go across the sky, and we could hear the plane hit the North Tower. We responded, and we arrived at the North Tower of the World Trade Center. As we were responding in, we could see large gaping holes in two sides of the North Tower with smoke and fire coming out under pressure. And it was an incredible sight, something that, I had 22 years on the fire department at the time in some very busy places, and nothing prepared me for what I was seeing. And we got there, we went to receive our orders from the incident commander, which was Deputy Chief Pete Hayden. And as we were waiting to get our orders, we saw a large black shadow on the ground, and we heard a loud explosion, and we didn't know what that was. And a man came running in from the outside and said that a second plane has just hit the second tower. So now we knew we were under attack. It was not an accident. And one of the most poignant things that was ever said that day was, at this point, one of the firemen that I was standing near just looked up and he said, "Gentlemen, we may not live through today." And all the firemen that were standing there, we all agreed. We wished each other good luck and shook each other's hands. And out of all the guys I was surrounded by when that plane hit the South Tower, I'm the only one that's alive. They all died. And so it was my turn to get orders. Received our orders from Chief Hayden to go up for search and rescue in the North Tower. So we proceeded to go up by foot. We made it to the 27th floor, and we were catching our breath and getting a quick drink of water when we felt and heard the collapse of the South Tower. We were in the North Tower. And that was an indication to me that it was time that our mission was no longer workable, that it was time for us to get out of there. And we started heading down the stairs. As we were going down the stairs, we came upon a woman who was in distress. She couldn't walk. And one of my firemen, Tommy Falco, turned and looked at me and says, "Hey, Cap, what do you want to do with her?" And even knowing that we were in the full retreat mode, that we were essentially running for our lives, we couldn't pass her. So we decided to put ourselves into harm's way to save her. And so we did. We started carrying her down the stairs, and which created a logjam of people behind us, so we had to step aside a couple times to let them pass. And we had made it to the 4th floor, and she fell to the floor and she was yelling at us, telling us to leave her, and we weren't going to leave her. So I broke into the 4th floor to look for a sturdy chair that we could put her on, and we could pick her up with her in the chair and run with her. And I couldn't find one. It wasn't an office floor. And I almost made it back to the stairway, and that's when the collapse of my building started. And we kept waiting for the big beam or the big piece of concrete to come and get us, and for us it didn't come. And once the collapse stopped, we gave out a roll call to see who was still alive, and all my men were still alive. The woman who we were rescuing was still alive. There was a total of 13 of us in the stairway. And but now we're trapped. So we're going through the ordeal of trying to figure out how to get out. And then once we realized we couldn't help ourselves, we had to mentally come to the realization that we're in need of rescue. That we're no longer the rescuers, we're the rescuees. And so we had to talking to several people on the radio. Some of them were some of my closest friends in the fire department, and it was very comforting to talk to them. And after a very harrowing ordeal of being trapped, it was about 3.5 to 4 hours later is when a ray of sunshine hit the stairway, and it was coming from the outside. The smoke and dust had cleared to the point where the sunlight hit the stairway, and we realized that we were essentially on top of the World Trade Center. We're on the 4th floor, and we're on top of the World Trade Center. So with the added light, we saw a way that we could get out, and one of the people who were trapped wanted to get out right away, so we tied him off on a rope, and we told him to make contact with a fireman that we saw off in the distance. He tied off the rope, and we tied off the rope in the stairway, and we started sending people out on the rope. And by the time the firemen made it to the stairway, we had almost everybody out, but they had to take out Josephine Harris, the woman, and they needed fresh people and a Stokes basket stretcher to take her out. And then we worked our way across the rubble, and I didn't know it at the time. It was my last run as a captain of Ladder 6, because I'd be promoted 5 days later. And but it was heartwarming to see one by one my men making it to West Street, and I felt once they made it to West Street they would be safe. And one by one I got to see that happen. And from a fire officer's perspective, under a day like that, my men made it, and I sent them home to their families that night, which was certainly not a common thing that happened that day. We're very fortunate. So I guess you could say the last 10 years has been the post-September 11th era of the New York City Fire Department. So we had to deal with the immediate issues of grief and bereavement, of losing some of the most qualified people and terrific human beings that the fire department's ever had. And so it's difficult to overcome. We've had to deal with the effects of post-traumatic stress for the people who are working down there. So those were very real injuries, and those were very real syndromes that we had to deal with. And we had to examine what we did there. And the fire department, you can't lose 343 people and say we're good. You have to examine all your operations and what you could do better. And maybe next time, if God forbid it happens, we could maybe not get hit as hard. And they engaged an outside firm to look at it, and they came up with several recommendations, and we've adopted almost all of them. And so even while we're still recovering emotionally from the events of that day, we were moving forward. So it's all right, we have to get better. We have to improve our safety. We have to improve our communications. We have to, and they've done that. And in the interim, we lost a lot of people. A lot of people retired after that. Whether it's through post-traumatic stress, that they just didn't want to be part of the fire department anymore. So the fire department got very young overnight. And those of us who stayed, I was very proud that they did stay and help the fire department train all these younger firefighters coming on to take the place of the guys who were killed or retired. And I'm proud of the younger guys that they saw the legacy that they were adopting, and they met it. And again, I'm very proud of the guys that decided to stay to help that transition take place.